This is the Anything Goes with Jackson Neill podcast. Welcome back to the podcast here for episode number 124. Today's episode is with rapper JG discussing his upcoming project. And before we jump into that, I want to remind everyone that this podcast is available on all of your favorite streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud, and make sure to rate and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform because there are new episodes every single Tuesday and Thursday, and you don't want to miss out. So JG is a hip-hop artist from Tampa, Florida, and he has a new project, Public Relations 2. It's the follow-up to his first public relations project. That's coming out real soon. So he came on the podcast to talk about the project, the inspiration behind it, what it's been like recording it, what it's been like just going into it, why he decided to make a second public relations project, and all of that. It was a fun conversation I had with him. Just has a kind of a unique perspective on making songs, so I enjoyed talking with him about that. So, with all that said, let's jump right into it. Can you tell me a little bit about your latest track, Public Relations?
Yeah, so basically 3-4 years ago, that's probably about 4 years ago now, I did the initial project, which was Public Relations, and it was a mixtape basically centered around a relationship and like breakup, and I dropped it on Valentine's Day, and that was kind of like my first official release like as an artist, and it did really well, and since then I've just had a lot of people like kind of asking me to get back to that space in music, so the song that I just put out, Public Relations, is the title track, obviously, off of Public Relations 2. So it just kind of like sets the stage for like what to expect on the project, and kind of like I said, sets the stage, and I wanted to lead with that one for that reason.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So people can kind of get an idea of what this project is going to sound like.
Yeah, and I feel like also it kind of shows a growth from the first project until now, and a lot of stuff what I've been putting out since Public Relations 1 has been more like on the harder like rap side, and I've kind of dabbled in a few different areas, but this project is really like vibey, and it's just something that you could just throw on and just chill out to, and then it's got a couple like hip hop songs on there as well, but with it being like a guitar based track and like a lot of like melodic vibes on it and stuff, like I wanted to lead with this song to let people know like it might not be what you're used to if you just started listening to me within the past like year,
Mm-hmm.
So
why did you want to return to that kind of that older sound?
Well, like I said, it was kind of what garnered me my initial like fan base in music. Mm-hmm. And once I really started noticing like people paying attention to what I was doing, so I just wanted to get back to that, and honestly, like it's what I'm happier doing. For me, music is therapeutic, so I enjoy talking about things that matter to me more than I enjoy just making the club song or something.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of like maybe being a little more personal and introspective on a track? It's not something that's too difficult for you?
I do, man. I prefer doing it that way, because like I said, it's almost like if I don't keep a journal, but if I did, that's kind of like what the music is to me, Mm-hmm. And my hopes is that whoever's listening maybe has been through similar experiences and they can relate to it and apply it whichever way they see fit, in their life,
Yeah, exactly. And it's a way for you as the artist and also the fans to kind of connect with it on a deeper level maybe than just a club song with, something just like that.
For sure. Exactly.
So this upcoming project, Public Relations 2, when did you start recording it? How long was that kind of process?
Well, so it's kind of been in the works for about 2.5 years, I guess, without me really knowing. I was just recording a lot of music over the past few years, and then basically just loading up the catalog. And then once I started realizing like where the sound was going, is when I had the idea to, you know what, I might as well just make a public relations too, because that's kind of where it's going to naturally anyway. So I didn't even have to force it there. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, so some of the songs on there are about 2 years old, and some of them were recorded last week. So it's a good blend of just different pockets that I was able to get in over the past couple of years.
Mhm. Was there a specific like song or moment where you heard it or it happened and you were like, oh, I need to do a public relations too because I'm making this kind of music that sounds like that?
I would think it was probably either the song Public Relations that made me say that, or there's a song on there called Stranger Things that uh, I feel like for me is just super out of the box of what I've ever done, and I'm really excited about that song. I haven't released that one yet. I don't know if I'm gonna do it as a single or just let it be on the album. But I would say those two songs really like solidified the idea that that's what I wanted to do.
Mhm. What about those two songs, I guess, made it solidify? I mean, obviously public relations with the title, but what about maybe Stranger Things?
Just the sound and the the mood that it creates when you listen to the music. Um, just everything about it. Like there's to me the way that I receive music is I don't know if it's different than other people. I feel like it is a little different. Um, but the way it kind of speaks to me, and I could throw on something that instantly puts me in a certain place that I might have been in, when I first heard this type of sound, or the way this synth hits right here. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it just felt like that's what it needed to be to me.
Mhm. Exactly. Everyone kind of has those songs in their life where you hear it and you just get taken back right to that place where you first heard it or that
Right.
really made an impact to you.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So on this project, who are some people you're working with, maybe on the production side or some features?
Honestly, man, I'm really excited about that. So, if you've been following me at all over the years, Taylor King is a producer that I've pretty much stuck with. He's very dope. So obviously, there's going to be he'll be on there a lot. Um, I also have production from a guy by the name of Mars, another really dope producer that I met through just a mutual friends. A&R from Atlanta linked me up with him. Really good guy, really really dope beats. He's got a lot of cool placements that he's been able to do himself. And then I was able to link up with a guy by the name of Cam Wallace. The name might not ring a bell, but he's done a lot of big stuff. He produced "Upgrade You" by Beyonce like years ago, and then he's working with Chris Brown right now on his latest album. He has like 2 or 3 songs on there, so I'm really excited about being able to work with him. Um, yeah, as far as production goes, and we got some cool features as well from some artists that I'm excited about as well. So
What goes through your head when you said you're working with some similar producers, one of the similar producers you've worked with, but when you're picking out these new guys to work with, what goes through your head? Why did you say, oh, with Cam Wallace, oh, I want to work with him, or with Mars, I want to work with him? What is it about them that kind of jumped out at you?
um, with Cam, it was just kind of organic. A friend of mine introduced me to him. Um, he was kind of like assisting him in management and things like that, and also assisting me. And we just kind of linked and hit it off basically through just casual conversation. We didn't even talk about the music. And then eventually, once it got to the music, and I heard some of what he had in his vault, it just made sense. Our sounds meshed very well. With Mars, it was a little different. It was more that our sounds didn't mesh very well that intrigued me, because a lot of my stuff is slower, down tempo, kind of melancholy. And Mars is more like on the trap side of things, as far as like production style. So I needed a few of those records to kind of balance out the feeling of the tape, because I didn't want it to just be, you know, down the whole time. So Mars was able to come in and give me a different mood on the project.
Mhm. Yeah, and with there with Cam, when you mentioned how you started talking with him, not even about the music at first. Sometimes that's the best way to get that personal connection going, and then focus on the music, and that sometimes brings out the best result.
For sure, exactly, and that's how it worked for us.
Hmm.
So
And
we just have similar views on music and where it should be headed, and what we want to say to people. So just kind of made sense.
I found that interesting that Mars jumped out at you, even though he was somebody who didn't really make music like kind of your style. That you're able to say, you know what, I'm gonna switch things up a little bit. That's kind of a cool story.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's something that, like I said, for me, and kind of the knock on me, I guess, has been that my music is too slow. It's just like a lot of my friends said, "Oh man, we need something to turn up to," and all this, and like I'm just not. That's not really who I am as a person. So I feel like your music should be a reflection of who you are. I don't really go to the club. I don't, I'm just not that guy. But Mars was able to give me something to allow me to tap into, like I said, a little different side of myself. So it turned out really good.
Mhm. Well, what you said right there kind of reminds me of this quote of yours that I wrote down, where right now you're really focused on just making music that makes you happy. Is that something that's always kind of been your focus throughout your career, or is that something that's kind of popped up recently?
So I think most artists go through phases where they maybe get discouraged, or they're trying different things, and this maybe worked and this didn't, and trying to find like what sound works best for them. And I went through a few different stages, and for me, it just kind of got to the point where I was like, I don't. I rather put music out that I know is true to what I want to do and what I want to say, and whoever receives it and appreciates it, then cool. And if you don't, then it just wasn't for you. So that's kind of the stage that I'm at right now, and honestly, it's made me a lot happier, and it's allowed me to get back to making music, for the right reasons.
Hmm. Yeah, and you're able to make music that makes that's for the right reasons for you, and it's able to come through in the music as well.
Right. Exactly. So for a while I was so focused on success, and I had to realize like it's really a subjective term. So for me, success is connecting with people and them liking what I'm putting out and being able to relate to it, and things like that. To me, that's being successful. So
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah, I like that success is like a subjective term because we think of it so much as the stereotypical things, wealth or fame or whatever. But it's like you find success
yeah,
in your life in
exactly,
the own way.
exactly. And don't get me wrong. Obviously, everybody's goal is to have possessions, but
Hmm.
I just kind of you know I've been reading books, different autobiographies and things like that, where people talk about how they achieved all of these things that they thought would make them happy, and it still never did. So I just had to really, think about that. And like you said, the perception of what success is supposed to be for people, it just kind of skewed, and it makes you think like, okay, well, if I don't attain this, then I'm never going to be successful, then I'm never going to be happy. And it's kind of a fucked up way of looking at things. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. Am I allowed to cuss on
You are
this?
completely allowed to curse. It is anything goes with Jackson Neill, so anything does go.
All right. Just had to double check real quick. Um, but yeah, man. So, it just took kind of understanding that it is a subjective term, and I had to find out what that meant to me, and I think that I finally found that, and I'm really I'm really happy with the way that the project sounds. It's 17 songs, which I know is very unconventional for an independent artist, but I just felt like it was right. And like I said, it's the same motto is, if you're down to listen to all 17 songs and you enjoy them, then cool. And if you don't want to listen to all 17 songs, then that's okay too. And, maybe you like one or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like where I'm at with it. But I am very happy with where it is.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Finding that kind of at peace with with your track listing and everything. So, you have this upcoming project coming out. You sound like you're in a really just good place. It's coming out pretty soon. Do you have a release time frame down yet?
I don't have a date like set in stone. I've kind of been focused on releasing a couple singles off of it to kind of get a little bit of the buzz back. Cause I took a couple year hiatus, just dealing with different like contract issues and stuff. So, don't have a date right now, but I would say 2.5 months. It should be out at the latest.
Mm-hmm.
It's finished. Like I said, we're just trying to release some singles and kind of just get some more attention around it.
Exactly. So just, overall now, I guess, what's your mindset at right now? How are you feeling now going into this release in the next couple months?
Like I said, man, I'm feeling good. I have so much music to get out, and I'm just really excited to get it out and connect with people. I love doing this. So, like, this is my favorite part of it is connecting with new people. I love getting messages from kids, like when they just hear a song and, they tell me like it helped them with this and that. And that's the best part about it for me. So I'm definitely excited. The time where I wasn't releasing music, I was really kind of depressed. And, it's just not a good feeling when you're a creative individual and you're not able to get that out, So I'm excited, I guess would be the word to sum it up. I'm just excited to get it out and continue working and continue growing.
A real big thank you to JG for coming onto the podcast. Make sure to go down into the show notes on whatever platform you're listening on. There I have links so you can check out his music as well as to follow him on Instagram so you can keep up to date with everything he's doing so you know exactly when that new project is coming out. With that, that's it for this episode of Anything Goes. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to subscribe and rate this podcast on your favorite platforms. New episodes every single Tuesday and Thursday. For more older episodes of this podcast as well as my sports and music discussion ones, go over to jacksonneillpodcast.com, the spot where I publish every single podcast that I make. Now, if you're a really big fan of the show and you want a little bit more content, go over to Patreon and become a subscriber. For just a couple dollars a month or even $1 a month, you can get access to cool bonus content from all 3 of my podcasts, including bonus questions from interviews here on Anything Goes. Today I talked with JG about his fandom of the Eagles, his favorite music he's listening to right now, and a lot more fun stuff like that. So if you want to check that out, go down to the show notes and click on the link to Patreon and become a subscriber over there. I write, record, produce, do everything for my podcast myself as a full-time college student, so any little bit of support just helps me spend more time making these fun episodes. If you want to stay up to date on everything that I'm doing, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at JacksonNeill20. Today's music is by Analog by Nature with their song CDK Sunday. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you all next time.